Everybody to today's webinar. Today's webinar is a Study Melbourne Career Catalyst webinar delivered by Intern Match. We are talking all things kickstarting your career here in Australia. So we plan to tell you and share with you lots of great career resources, job market essentials, and some advice on expanding your network here in Australia. And shortly, I will introduce our amazing guest speaker, Natalie Peart from Job Speak Academy. Before we get started, I would like to also share that we have a great upcoming event that you might be interested in. It's in 4 weeks' time on the 18th of March, and it's hosted at the Eureka Tower, so 89 floors above Melbourne CBD. You might be interested in coming along to a great international student networking event. We have a great speaker lined up as well. So if you'd like to follow that QR code, we will also send this information after the webinar as well. We'd love to see you there. There's food and drinks included, lots of activities, and a great keynote speaker to hear from. So we hope that we can get you along to that one. So let's get into today's webinar. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge country. I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm presenting from today, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people here on this webinar. My name is Ellen. I'm the Events and Partnerships Manager at Intern Match. So in short, we are the delivery partner for the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program, helping students find great opportunities to work with leading companies, startups, and great education providers across the globe. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, I'd love to connect with you, and we hope to help you unlock your career potential here in Victoria. So the purpose of this webinar, before I introduce our two speakers, is to help you as international students and graduates navigate your career journey here in Australia. So thank you firstly for joining today's webinar, for registering and actually attending. We really hope that this is beneficial for you to understand how you can succeed here in Australia. So a few things that we'll cover off. So we will go through and give you an understanding of the career resources, the support available through the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program, but also a few of the other programs that they have running as well. You will hopefully gain an understanding of the key steps for success at each stage of your studies and your job search. Gain an understanding and insight into the challenges and opportunities that international students and graduates can face in the job market. We'll, of course, speak to our great expert speaker, Natalie Peart, who's the founder of Job Speak Academy, talking all things networking, job applications, and career development. And at the end, we'll give you some key takeaways, like a checklist of practical steps to take in the next few months. Of course, you're all in different stages of your studies or your career journey. So hopefully today's webinar can cover most bases for you. But feel free to put any questions in the chat box throughout the webinar. We'll either answer them as they come in, or we'll come to the end and answer them in one big go. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Tran Nguyen from Study Melbourne. Tran is their Student Programs Manager. So welcome, Tran, to tell us a little bit more about Study Melbourne and the programs and support that you have available.
Thank you for that, Ellen. I won't call myself a speaker today. I just here to say hi, that's all. Thanks everybody for joining us online today. Actually, it's the first Career Catalyst event that we run for this semester. So welcome to Melbourne and Victoria, if you are here already or you're about to join us. And welcome back as well, because you're returning students to Melbourne. Look, I'll be very quick. What I would do is I will pop in the chat box, the website link. We will love to do that. Pretty much everything I talk about will be on the website. So we are Study Melbourne, in case you haven't heard about us. So we are part of joint government, and our agency's main mission is to make sure that you have the best time studying and living in Victoria across the state, including your welfare, employability, your job prospect after graduation. And secondly, we promote Victoria and Melbourne as the preferred destination for a new student. Now, look, you will hear through today from our amazing guest speaker, Natalie Peart, about only thing you can do to get yourself out there to prepare for your best job. Um, and you can find support along the way. The two things I just want to mention as well. We've got Career Catalyst program. It is one of our major investment from Study Melbourne. There's many different elements in the program. We do online events like today, but we also do in-person event at our Stirrup Hub at Hardware Land. In case you haven't heard about Hardware Land before, it is a land in the middle of Melbourne. That's what we're famous for. Got a lot of food, restaurants, cafes. We have a hub as well where you can actually study, and you can do your group projects. We got free tea, coffee. We open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday every week. So pop in when you have time. At the hub as well, we have a casework team in case you need to any help with your mental health or any other issue. The caseworkers can support you as well. And before I step up on detail, everything we do at Melbourne is free of charge. We never charge student anything, so they have to pay any of those services. Now, look on a program, look into there. The career is a journey. It's a lot of different steps in it. My only advice is, to be patient on what you do. Everything you do, to get out there, talk with a person, engage an employer, go to an event, their own piece together at the end to help you get that dream job you want to. Of course, we can't guarantee, I wish I could, but we can't guarantee you get a job afterwards. But everything you do every day will get you closer to that dream. So hopefully you will bring us along with your journey. It'll be on the website, everything you need to know about us. The easiest way is subscribe newsletter. It should be there, the QR code on the screen as well. We send them out once a month with all the events, the thing we've done. Just go through the list, find out what you need. It either be networking skill, leadership skill, how to talk with people, how to do a LinkedIn profile, how to make more friends, how to network on LinkedIn, how to start your own business, anything that you need with employability, we're here to help you with that free of charge. But thanks, Natalie, for joining us today. I'm sure Steve will learn so much from you. Just keep in touch with Study Melbourne, and hopefully I will see you in the next events that we run. Back to you, Ellen.
Thanks, Tran. Amazing. As Tran mentioned, Study Melbourne have lots of great resources for international students and graduates. As part of the Career Catalyst program, we have lots of events and webinars happening in the next 8 to 16 weeks. So all the way from, I guess, February now until June. So if you head to the Study Melbourne website and go to their events tab, you'll see all of our online events, including our 30-minute sessions where you can get some resume or LinkedIn support, and you can do those online, but also, in-person events and online webinars just like this. So hopefully there's something on there that will help you along the way. And as Tran said, it would be great to see you continue your engagement with us throughout your career and study journey, because we love to hear lots of success stories or love to help with any challenging situations that you're in. So thank you so much, Tran. Now I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Natalie Peart. So Natalie is the founder of JobSpeak Academy. JobSpeak Academy are dedicated to helping international students and skilled migrants build their careers here in Australia. Natalie is a career counsellor and has a background in ESL teaching and communications, as well as personal experience transitioning into the Australian job market. She empowers others through coaching and communication, confidence, and job search strategies. So if you'd like to connect with Natalie on LinkedIn, please do so as well. But welcome, Natalie. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's a great initiative that this is. I'm very lucky that international students in Victoria have this. I think it's great and lots on offer as well, especially the 30-minute sessions where people can come and get the support from you one-on-one. So yeah, I hope lots and lots of people use that because it's great.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm here to answer some questions. I think Ellen already has some questions for me that she knows that you will have. That is really common questions that I can support you with. But if you have any extra questions or any follow-up questions, you can just type them in the chat and I will answer them as I go along if I can, or I guess later as well.
Yeah, and make sure you connect with Job Speak Academy. Natalie's always posting great resources.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're doing lots of webinars yourself.
Yeah.
It would be great for students to be connected with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn is my personal profile, and I'm also on Instagram as Job Speak Academy, which is a little bit different content. I've just put a link to a free resource that I have, and it is 189 ways that I brainstormed for you to get local experience. Because it is a challenge to get the local experience, and if you start sooner, you will get that experience before you graduate, which means that you've got more chances of getting that job when you graduate. So there's some ideas for you if you want to grab that free download.
Love it. Thank you. I will make sure, and we will send everything to all the attendees today via email as well. So keep
Yeah.
an eye out for that. We'll send the slides as well and the recording from today's session. So let's get into it. So the first, I guess, topic that we'll be focusing on is understanding your career journey here in Australia. So your career success in Australia starts long before your graduation. Employers really value local experience, industry connections, and job readiness skills, which we'll go through all of those topics shortly. So it's really important to take some proactive steps throughout your studies, or even if you are graduated and you're thinking about, upskilling yourself. So we'll talk about the study phase and building skills through like coursework and, starting to network early, whether that's starting a LinkedIn or just going to events early as well. Gaining some experience like interning or an internship or volunteering, really practical experience. And of course, tailoring your applications to stand out. And then the continuous learning. So networking, but also, finding new ways to grow your career and grow your skills. And of course, the earlier that you start preparing, the more career ready you'll be by graduation. So Natalie, as the founder of Job Speak Academy, you've worked really closely with skilled migrants and international students, helping them to navigate the job market and build successful careers here in Australia. Based on your experience, what is the first and most important step international students should take when starting their career journey here?
Okay, great question. So, as I said, and as you said, Ellen, being proactive. So, I actually think having a strategy is really important. Sounds a bit boring, but it's really, really important. And it's something that not many people have. You know, the people that I work with, they just go straight into job searching with their resume without actually understanding their industry in Australia, connecting with people, having a plan to network and find the jobs, getting local experience. So there's a lot of different things that you really need to think about, and you're juggling lots of different, balls. So having a clear job search strategy and or career plan will really help you. So think about things like understanding your industry in Australia, you know, um, who are the top companies who hire people in your industry in Australia? Who can you connect with? Do you have Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups with your industry in Australia? So start by understanding things like that so that you learn about how things operate in Australia, including workplace culture, including communication, and including people that you can connect with as well. So other things to think about is getting that local experience as well. So volunteering as Alan says, is really, really important. You could also do internships, but there's also other ways like building a portfolio of work that you could have on your LinkedIn profile. If you've got a creative industry, start a blog, start a newsletter. There's a lot of really creative ideas that you can have. And if you have a strategy, step by step, to do little things each week or each month, so that by the end of your graduation, when you've graduated, you're going to be so much stronger to get that job. So have a strategy, understand exactly what you have to do, and then follow that strategy over the next 6, 12 months, however long it's going to be.
Love it. I think that's a great start. Instead of just kind of, applying for multiple
Yeah,
jobs and not really having a clear direction for
no.
yourself.
Yeah,
Even just
absolutely.
following companies on their LinkedIn is really
Hmm.
helpful to newsletters and those sort of things by the companies or the industry so that you
Yeah,
can get immersed in the industry before you actually get into it.
absolutely.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. That's a perfect start. And I think as well, I like to look up, other people's LinkedIns that have, interesting titles, or they work for a company that I find interesting or I would like to work for one day, and kind of getting an understanding of how they got to where they did. And they might
Yeah,
have done some
absolutely.
volunteer work or
Yeah.
internships or anything like that. So I love it. Thank
Hmm.
you. Amazing. So let's move on to, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat. So in terms of navigating the job market, there's a few things that make the Australian job market a little bit unique, and that might be completely different to what it was like in your home country as well. So 75% of jobs are not advertised. So a lot of jobs are, I guess, in the hidden job market, and that's why networking is quite crucial. A lot of companies might not advertise through their, the LinkedIn or Seek. They might just kind of put it on their website, or they have a role, but they haven't actually put it on a platform yet. They might even create a role as well. So employers really focus on soft skills, your cultural fit, and your local
Yeah.
experience, which is why that experience is really important. Many jobs require selection criteria responses instead of like the standard cover letters, or they might have both as well. Understanding these key differences will help you tailor your job search strategy. So, Natalie, through JobSpeak Academy, you've helped countless individuals refine their job search strategies. What are some of the biggest mistakes that international students could make when applying for jobs, and what can they do to avoid them?
Okay, great question. So I think the first one is rushing into it without understanding if their resume is good enough, quite honestly. It has to be structured and formatted in the Australian standard. I look at a lot of resumes, every day. I have resume writing services, and there are so many really simple mistakes that I see people constantly do that they can read for free in blogs or in my LinkedIn. So really pay attention to the information that you are consuming. Okay. So for example, no photo, must be 2 pages. Australia really values a skills-based resume as well. So make sure that you have all of your skills on your resume and demonstrate it. Okay, not just writing, I have communication skills. You need to give an example of when you have communication skills. So, as a quick side note, another thing that I would suggest you do now is keep something called a brag book. So a brag book is kind of when you say brag, like BRAG, it means good things that are happening. Like I'm bragging about something good. So if you keep one for yourself, just in a notebook or in a Google document of all your achievements, all of the good things that's happened to you. Maybe you worked well on a project. Maybe your survival job, got 5-star review. So keep a list of all of those really great things so that when you come to write your resume, you already have that information because that is what you need on your resume. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I see is not having that style of resume and just clicking apply with the really bad resume and hoping for the best without tailoring it
Mm.
to make sure that they see your skills. If you don't make an effort in the application, they are not going to give you the interview because they think that you're not going to make an effort in the job. So if you really want the job, you really need to make that effort. So take your time to make sure your resume is good, make sure you're reading the job advert, and make sure that your application is good as well. So that's the biggest mistake I see, is just submitting applications without really making that effort. And part of the reason is fear, a little bit overwhelmed by the application process, reduction in confidence, so losing confidence and feeling, demotivated. But it will keep going on and on and on unless you stop and start taking the application seriously. If you spend 2 hours on an application, just one application, it's better than 10 clicking buttons. Okay. So slowing down, making sure everything is as in Australia is definitely the biggest mistake that I see people make. And that is how you can fix it as well.
Yeah. Love it. I love the idea of a brag book too, because it
Yeah.
come to resume writing and forget all of your achievements.
Absolutely. And it boosts confidence, right, as well. So if you're having a really bad day or a really bad week, and you can just go and look at your brag book and remember what you did 6 months ago, and how great you are, and you can see these lists of things. Because without sounding negative, the reality is there's going to be a lot of challenging situations, and it might be that you're going to feel, a little bit insecure. You're going to lose some confidence. You're going to feel a bit demotivated. You're going to feel like you can't do this, but it's all part of the journey. And if you have a brag book, you can look back and see all the great things that you've done.
Love it. Yeah, amazing. And very important, like you said, to focus on the quality of your resume or your application as well. I see lots of resumes too, and a lot of them are, with spelling mistakes, or they're being addressed to the wrong company, or that's not, aligning to the job that's actually being posted. So making sure it's nice and tailored will make a big difference. Like you said, it's attention to detail is usually one of the key skills that companies want you to have. So making sure that you're off to a good start is really important too. Love it. Thank you. Make sure any questions that you have relating to resume or application writing, please put them in the chat box. Thank you. So we'll jump into networking. So we're touching on a few different topics that we could probably speak for 45 minutes to an hour on each of these topics if we had the time. So we will do lots more webinars throughout the semester on specific topics. So make sure that you do sign up for those as well. We will talk more about networking as well, which is really important, building a professional network. So today we'll talk about a few key parts of networking that will hopefully help you in your journey. So of course, LinkedIn, where you can connect with professionals, engage with the industry, join some great, networking events in the industry that you want to be in, read some great resources, blogs, do LinkedIn learning, all of those sort of things. Then there's career events. So we've posted one at the start of this webinar, and I'll send a few more out to you as well. Industry meetups, you can go onto some great resources like I've got down here, a Humanitics meetup, Eventbrite, even LinkedIn for free industry sort of events that you can go to, going to job fairs to connect with people, and then, speaking to professionals for some career advice. So we can talk further about how to actually connect properly with those professionals, and they might become a mentor for you as well. There's professional associations out there. It might be for accounting or engineering or whatever it might be. Try and look up what those associations are and join them. And then, of course, we've got some great resources there as well, just to get you started, including, of course, the Study Melbourne Career Hub, which you're welcome to come into or head online to learn more about. Natalie, one of the biggest challenges for international students is networking. And given your experience with skilled migrants, what practical tips can students take to build connections that can actually lead to job opportunities?
Yeah. So as you said, LinkedIn is a really great tool. And I can tell you, a few success stories of clients getting jobs just from LinkedIn. So it definitely does work, but you have to be patient. So when you say actually lead to job opportunities, the advice that I actually give is don't assume that you're going to get a job from every person. I actually think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make. Is, they'll send the LinkedIn request or they'll send a little note to someone with the assumption that they're going to get something back. But networking is really just about building connections. And, you might connect with one person who knows another person who knows another person of a company that is hiring. So it's all about having an expanded network and not relying on that one person to get you that job. But some general advice is definitely use LinkedIn. So when you are connecting with people, always write a note, okay? Make sure it's a genuine and sincere note as well. So not just the generic, hey, I'd like to connect with you. So you could look at their profile and see that where they work, or an article that they've posted, or a blog that they've written, or something, and find that one thing that you like about their profile and talk about that. So, hey, Steve, I saw the blog about networking. I'd love to connect and learn more from you. Okay, so that is just kind of stage one. Okay, but because it's networking and because it's building connections, you really have to build that connection and take away what you want from them, because they see that. And Australian culture is a very authentic culture. So if they see straight away that you want something, they are less likely to reply to you. So try to build that connection straight away, so that after you've submitted that networking connection request, then maybe in a week or two, send them a message and introduce yourself a little bit more. So, hey, Steve, great to connect with you. I'm new to Australia and just finishing my MBA. I was inspired by your profile because of XYZ. I'd love to stay connected and learn from you. Do you have any advice about starting my career in Australia? And what that is it's a super concise message, because they're not going to read an essay. Do not write a cover letter. They are not going to read it. Keep it really, really short and really, really simple so that they actually read it, and always finish with a question so that they are more likely to reply. And it's opening up a conversation. They might not reply. That's just how it is. I've got messages in my LinkedIn that I haven't had time to reply to. It's just how busy we are. So don't take it personally and don't let it stop you from keeping on doing that. Okay. So do that. Do that with companies. Do that with people who work in your industry. Do that with other migrants or other international students, and really build up that networking. Okay. So expand it. But don't forget about face to face. And I think this is what a lot of people do now, is they hide behind computers and they say it's networking. But the reality is it's not. It's only a small part of it. So look on Meetup, look at your industry association, Google, business development networking events in Melbourne and go to that. Go to other migrant women. If you're a woman, Migrant Women's Association does a lot of events as well. Go to other multicultural events. Go to something you like. If you like hiking, go to a hiking event on Meetup. So don't assume that you're gonna get a job from every person you meet, but be open to going out and meeting people and really building your community, because from your community you get connections and you get genuine, meaningful connections that will lead to a job in the future. So I know that's not the magic wand answer, but that's what it's down to.
Yeah. And like you said, like you have to kind of make that effort yourself. There are lots of different ways to network, but and great resources that you just shared at the end there. But like a few great points that you said, firstly with, connecting someone because you maybe have the same interests. That Steve person or whoever it might be on LinkedIn might, feel really great that, you've brought back a blog that he's written, months or years ago or something that he's really proud of, and you're actually bringing it to his attention. And of course he's like, oh, I'm proud, and I'm going to reply to this person, happy to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it.
Absolutely.
While we're on this topic, we'll kind of go back a little bit, but we've got a question from Jasmine who's asked, may I please know how important the international bachelor degree and work experience is to the Australian workforce? Will it still be considered by local employers when applying for jobs? Is that something you want to answer, Natalie, or I can, if you
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. So, yeah, so your overseas experience, is that what you're asking? Is your overseas education and experience
important?
relevant? Absolutely relevant. Don't take any experience off your resume. Make sure that your local experience, your international experience is there. It's great skills, great experience, and focus on that. It will be considered, but depending on the industry, which is most, they will still very likely want you to have some local experience. So my opinion still stands of looking for volunteer work, looking for an internship. Try and get a part-time job if you can, or it's more likely that you can get contract work without local experience. So maybe doing like a 3-month contract work, depending on what your industry is. So yes, 100% still relevant. It will be considered because it's a skills-based application that I would suggest. So you have the skills from overseas, but they will still want you to have the local experience so that they can see that you understand the Australian workforce, you understand how your industry operates in Australia, as well.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Back to your point with the resume being around 2 pages, which is a great length for most organizations here in Australia. You might have a little bit more, maybe, like you've been working for 10 or 15 or more years and you've got a lot more experience you'd like to tell them about. But just making sure that even if you do have that global or like international experience, to keep it relevant. So if you've worked a few jobs back home, making sure, like, of course, all the experience is important, but if you worked at a cafe, but you want to get into an engineering firm, just pick the skills that you think are really relevant to that firm, or it might be communication skills, and you don't need to go on too far into your responsibilities as well, just to keep your resume nice and concise as
Yeah,
well.
well, you only need 10 to 12 years of experience anyway. So, 2 pages is definitely doable. I would say though, Australian employers really like to see dates. So if you've had a career gap, or if you've had, 2 years of the survival jobs, as I like to call them, you still need to add them on, but keep them concise. Don't go on for ages about, waiting tables or whatever. Just say, did this, use communication skills, and you can change the name from waitress to customer service as an example, to try and make it fit in to skills that are essential and really valuable.
And I just jump in as well quickly too. We did join our future events, but in our resume workshop that we run with our program as well, we do have a section normally around this, because we have a common question about how you can sort of like word around your experiences to make it relevant to Australian employers. Probably Natalie would have better insight into it. It's all about how a lot of students think, oh, it's obviously experiences, it's not relevant, doesn't matter, I should drop it. But never do, because all about the skills that you can transfer into your new roles, customer service, communication skills, and just make it as relevant as possible. And I think that's still better than having no experiences. So just all about the way you word it, the way you make it relevant. And sometimes, again, I think probably now that you touch on as well, employers and the hiring managers, they don't have a lot of time. And people are actually very quick with that. So it is it's on you to point out to them where they should pay attention to. And it's relevant, it's similar to the job, it's similar type company, I got the same skill. So I have to point out for them literally in bold and wherever you want to, just make it easier for them to recognize that skill as well. I think, and of course, join events feature, you can see those inside too.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully our resources and this webinar today as well can help you know how to kind of find those transferable skills. They might be technical or soft skills, but we can go through those with you in further like sessions as well. But like Tran said, just keeping it nice and relevant is the most important. And I think, Natalie, most hiring managers or recruiters, spend 10 seconds, like quickly kind of having a look over. Oh, there you go, 6, 6 to 10.
Look, we don't know for sure, right? Everyone's different, but the average is 6 to 7 seconds only. That's the average. And so, yeah, exactly. Make it as easy as possible for them to see. When I offer to look at someone's resume, I say I will look at for 6 seconds only. I will just do the hiring manager look and I can see straight away what the problems are. So you've got to think all the time, is it easy for them to see? Is it easy for them to read? So that's always got to be in the back of your head because they're not going to read it. If it's too hard, they won't read it. And if the top section of your resume doesn't show the skills that are relevant to the job, they're not going to read further down to your experience section either. So you've got to be quite clever in this 2025 job market to get the attention and make sure that they actually read it because they've just got so many applications and a lot of applications as well that aren't experienced for the job. So you've got to show them that you are the right candidate.
Yeah. And I guess skills that you can also talk about if you get into an interview, you'll need to prove that you have those skills. So don't make it too, far and outside of your comfort zone or, big words that you don't usually use, like make it really relevant to yourself so that you can speak about them as well. I think the next slide is a little bit more focused on work experience. And then I think the last one is more applications anyway. So we'll come back to that for a little bit. But in terms of gaining some local experience, so this is a few reasons why employers want that local experience on your resume. It just shows that you have an understanding of Australian workplace culture. Of course, different organisations operate differently, but it will also help you develop some soft skills that you may not have had experience with. So communication, teamwork, problem solving, just to name a few. And it, of course, proves that you can adapt and contribute to a professional environment. So there's a few ways that you can gain experience. Natalie's already covered lots of them. So internships, volunteering, part-time jobs, projects, freelancing, contract roles, whatever it might be. You might literally just shadow someone around for a day or two a week, or it might be something more involved than that. So try and get whatever experience you can, even if you think, volunteering it's not paid or it's a, semi-paid opportunity, it will still be able to be something that can go on your resume that shows local experience here in Australia. So the question for you, Natalie, students often worry about not having that experience on their resume. Do you know of any creative ways that students can gain some relevant experience while studying?
Yeah, I'm sure. Also, just while I remember, I just popped another link in. It's actually my most recent blog that I wrote, and it's all about getting local experience. So, it's all about getting the job without local experience. So there's lots of good ideas for you in there as well. As for creative ideas, it really depends on the industry. So, if anyone's there, do you want to just, type your industry in the chat box, and I'll be able to think of some ideas for you now. But also the link that I gave you for the 189 ways, there's ideas there as well. So yeah, let me know your industry and I'll think of some ways for you. But creative ways that I would say is to show your experience, show your authority. So for example, if you're a data analytics or statistics, think about projects that you can do. So jobs don't necessarily ask for a portfolio, but you could do some creative projects by yourself using the different, coding or technical programs or software. Because when it comes to the jobs like this, like data jobs, business analysts, IT, they always want to know the hard skills, the technical skills that you've got. They want to know that you can use the programs, you can use the software. So show them that. You need to show them this, okay? So there's usually two different streams of, issues with employers. Number one is, are you a cultural fit? Can you communicate effectively in the workplace? That's number one. Number two is, do I have to spend too long training them in what they need to know? Okay, it's laziness. That's fine a lot of the time, but show them that you don't need to train them. Show them that you have those skills. So do some projects on the side, create a portfolio, and put that portfolio link using the different projects, the different code, whatever you need to do on your resume. Post about it on LinkedIn as well, so that people can see you constantly posting about it, seeing the work that you're doing as well. So that would be one way. For communications design, Jasmine, I know it's a scary prospect, but start a blog. There's free blogging templates. Your writing doesn't have to be perfect, but start a blog and talk about communications design. Talk about communication strategies, talk about psychology of communication, talk about, public relations or whatever your passion is in communication, because there's usually something. Show any, graphic work that you might do as well. The other thing for you, Jasmine, could be freelancing. So there's websites like Upwork and Fiverr as an example, where you could put up a freelancing project, a freelancing profile, sorry, and you could, pitch for projects. They might be small, they might be big. The same for any creative. So photography, branding, graphic design, instructional design, education, anything like that, do some freelance work. The reality is you're going to get paid nothing or very, very little for your time, maybe the first 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you have to know that it's all about getting that experience and getting that portfolio, but then you can increase your prices. So don't be put off by having to do a branding project for like $50. It's part of how it is, but you can increase your prices. So do projects, do blogs, do freelancing on Fiverr or Upwork as well. Show them your skills in any way you can. Biotechnology, I would probably say you're going to have to reach out on LinkedIn or companies directly and try and get some work experience. It might not be an internship. It might just be a few hours a week, but you need to get into that field. You need to get in that field and learn on the ground. So I'm not sure if I have many creative ways for you apart from getting in there and meeting people. Don't let rejection hold you back. Keep emailing out your resume to try and get a few hours of work experience. You could definitely, though, post on LinkedIn your insights. It's a really interesting field. There's so much to be said about, anything in biotechnology. So post articles that you see. If you find some English article that you're interested in, post it on LinkedIn and tell people why you're interested. Okay, so that they can start seeing who you are, what your opinion is, why you're experienced, and they remember you as well. Same for finance. Getting on the ground experience in finance. It's a very professional industry, and they're definitely going to want you to have those real work experience. But also think of your hard skills as well. If your university degree doesn't teach you, Xero or any of the other accounting software, you've got to go and get that certificate. You've got to make sure that you have those technical skills with experience as soon as you graduate university. So if if you have friends or something and they have a small business, offer to do their bookkeeping if you can, or offer to do a spreadsheet for them. You need to have actual experience. You cannot just say, I know it from uni. You got to have the experience to prove to them as well. Business consulting and human resources, I'll kind of pop that together a little bit. So with HR, think about, you could possibly get some part-time work in HR admin or in a recruitment consultancy. There's a lot of part-time or casual roles out there for recruiting at the moment. I would consider connecting with actual recruitment agencies and, talking to them so you can actually possibly get paid experience. It might just be temp, might just be for 3 months, it might just be one day a week, but you've got that experience as well. For HR, they really want to see your soft skills. They want to see that you're people focused. So people and culture, even if it's not a people and culture job, they want to see that you know about people and culture. So get that experience. One website which I always say is really good is Future Learn. And it's a website where you can do free courses. You do have to pay for the certificate, but they are from universities. So they're like a module from a university. And there's so much about communication skills, teamwork skills, leadership skills, people and culture skills. So go and have a look for business consulting and for human resources on those courses, on those websites to get that upskilling. My voice is going. Law. Oh, I don't know much about law, if I'm honest, but I would say that you need to get a mentor. So I don't know, Elise. So there's a website called She Mentors or Mentor Walks. And you might have to pay a little bit, but they're really good. So basically, it's a mentoring website who mentor women, and they're usually in those really corporate, professional fields like law. So you can actually learn from a mentor, and they would be able to give you some specific advice. But with all of these, I would say post on LinkedIn. Do not be afraid of LinkedIn. I don't just mean a nice about section. I mean actually using the profile to show your expertise as well. Chemical sciences, another industry I don't know much about, but you could possibly, I mean, it depends on what your niche interest is in chemical sciences. But for example, you could start a blog about that as well, or you could post a LinkedIn newsletter. Think about things like possibly doing work experience in schools or kids groups, maybe some tutoring or teaching might help you as well, depending on what you want to do, because it could be a bit broad and I'm not really understanding properly. But yeah, think outside the box about tutoring. You could be tutoring sciences, you could be tutoring kids, you could look at schools, or after school programs and things like that. All you would really need is a working with children's check, but you could volunteer your time to help with science departments, and that would be experience, and it would also show your passion for that industry.
Ooh, incredible. Very broad range of industries there. So
yeah, there's a couple that I'm like,
for you. Amazing. And there were so many, I think so many ideas there, even just like you were just saying then, tutoring, volunteering your time to schools or whatever it might be. They were all, terrific. I can definitely vouch for the mentor walks. I did one a few years ago and it was amazing. I think it was about $35 at the time. I can't remember what it is now, but we just walked around one of the nice gardens here in Melbourne and I met someone who I'm still in touch with today. I spoke to her yesterday, and she's a mentor of mine now. We connect every few months, but hopefully everyone on this call can kind of find either that person or multiple people or something that you can do to while you're studying and trying to find jobs, instead of just waiting to hear back from the applications that you've put in, you can actually do a little bit more while you wait, and keeps you, like you said, Natalie, like expanding on technical skills, so learning a new program. So much better for a company to hear that you're learning a program. You don't just say, no, I don't know how to use it. You can start starting the basics or something like that. Yeah, amazing. Well, we'll move on to the next topic. So might kind of cross over a little bit, but I'll share the resource for you all to book in a session to talk through your cover letters, resumes, your interview prep, LinkedIn pages. So a few ways to help make your resume and cover letters stand out. We've already talked about a lot of different things as well. So highlighting your soft skills, making your resume nice and clear and structured. They only take 6 to 10 seconds to read your resume. So using the Australian style formatting, so no photos, keeping it, 2 pages if you can, nice and skills focused. And of course, tailoring your application to match what they're asking you to do. So it may not be a complete resume overhaul, but at least making sure it's most of the way there so that they read your resume and it actually makes sense to them. It's not like you're submitting your resume for a part-time job to, a job in more of your professional part of your career. So making sure that your resume actually applies well. So this is the sessions that we run. Hopefully you can scan that code and book in for February or March. I'll open some more sessions and I'll send this link as well after the webinar. So if you can't book in a session, I'll make sure we open up some more for the next few months. So they're just 30 minutes, and all we ask for before you join the session is just to send through your resume and any supporting documents that might just help myself and the team understand, your career so far, your journey with your study so far. So make sure that you send that beforehand. It just saves some time and we can have a bit of an overview before you actually join the session. And then by the end of it, hopefully you've got some key takeaways for improving your LinkedIn page or how to, connect with someone, or any sort of career advice that you kind of need in terms of, applications, resumes, cover letters. Even if you have a interview coming up, we can kind of do a mock interview with you to practice some key questions that they will ask. So yeah, hopefully you can book in a session. Natalie, another question. I think this might be the last one. Given your background in coaching, on job applications, what adjustments should international students make to align their resumes and their cover letters with Australian employer expectations? We've probably covered a lot of this as well. So
yeah, I'll just do like a quick recap, I guess.
Yeah.
So in Australia, as we said, it's apparently roughly 6 to 7 seconds. That's all they're going to spend. So it needs to be as easy as possible. So I would usually say a very simple font like Calibri or Arial and an average 0.11. Make sure there's white space because it's easy for them to scan. There's not one format of a resume. So every resume is different. So, we've got law, we've got finance, and we've got communications design. Those 3 resumes would be completely different. Okay. So don't assume that there's one resume for everyone. Your resume has to tell your individual story, and your career. Okay. But generally, 2 pages on average. Now, if you are an academic or possibly law and you've got publications, or if you're executive level, we can go up to 3. But for entry level roles, about 2 is fine. One mistake I see a lot is having your education at the top. Make sure it's actually at the bottom. Okay. They want to see your skills at the top, and do not just have like lists of skills. You can list your technical skills, but when it comes to problem solving, teamwork, communication, you need to provide an example of when you've used those skills as well. So having just words is just nothing. It's a waste of space. So have, an example, just say key skills, communication, and an example bullet point of when you've used that. But make sure that they are relevant to the job that you're applying for. Okay. So if you're applying for a finance job, they might not ask for communication skills. It's helpful, but they might want more about, your analytical skills. So you would put that before communication skills. So the Australian standard is really making the effort. No photo, 2 pages, skills with examples, and always make sure that your contact details, your LinkedIn profile, phone number, email, suburb is at the top of your resume. I have a contact on LinkedIn who works in HR, and she just messaged me the other day saying, please post and tell people to be careful, because she's going through 200 resumes right now, and about 50% of them have not put their contact details on. So be really careful. It's easy to make a mistake when you are rushed, but make sure all of that's there. I would also suggest having the title of the job that you're applying for at the top as well, so that they can see that it's tailored. When it comes to cover letters, so generally what an employer in Australia does is they get your resume, they scan your resume. If they like it, they will click on your LinkedIn profile and they will view your LinkedIn profile, which will have more information about your career and your career journey. So your resume has to be concise and relevant, and it is not to get you the job, it's just to get you the interview. And you can go into more detail in the interview. Your cover letter, it's more personal in Australia, so it can actually tell your story a little bit more. They want to know about why you really want the job. So look at their website, look at their values, tell them why you agree with their values. If they say community is a value, tell them why community is important to you. Talk about your background from overseas. Tell them you're from Colombia or from Venezuela or from South Korea. Talk about your experience. Be really, really you. Okay? It doesn't have to be corporate. It doesn't have to have professional language. Your resume does, but your cover letter can be more personal and tell them really who you are, really why you're passionate about the industry, about any experience you have with creative projects, and why you really want to work for this company. But it does still have to include the skills from the job advert. Okay, so look at look at selection criteria, what we want, what you will have, and make sure that you list those skills with examples in your cover letter as well. So I think Australian standards really about tailoring it and making it easy for the recruiters to see that you have the experience and you're worthy of an interview.
Yeah, love it. Perfect. Very much focused on, authenticity, tailoring, concise applications. All very helpful points. Hopefully, if you have any further questions around any of these points, we will wrap up in a couple of minutes. So feel free to connect with the Study Melbourne program and any of those sessions that we run. And of course, with Job Speak Academy as well. And hopefully we can get some even, I guess, further support in your application journey. So a few key takeaways, obviously a lot of writing here, and there's lots more that we covered. We didn't even really go into, I guess, actually using like the STAR method and everything like that. But firstly, building your career readiness is really important from literally when you first arrive in Australia. So networking, gaining experience, exploring job opportunities nice and early, using any career services that your university can provide. So we at Study Melbourne hope to complement what the universities and education providers are, I guess, supplying to you. So really utilizing, of course, Study Melbourne, but also your university or education provider and any external job platforms. There's a platform called Stint, which is run by a group of students from Melbourne University who post jobs that are open to students without PR. So that's a great resource and just one of many, like Natalie shared and we've put in the chat box. Trying to avoid those generic applications, which we've talked about, tailoring your applications, addressing key selection criteria through your achievements. And I like the brag book suggestion as an idea. And of course, that's not just talking about, yes, I've got communication skills, but like Natalie said, providing some great examples. And then that will also help you prepare for an interview. So when you do go into an interview, they'll say to you, tell us about a time that you've, shown great communication skills. And you can actually think of an example because you've probably put it on your resume or you've put it in your cover letter. Keeping your resume nice and aligned to Australian employer expectations. Lots of the jobs that you see and maybe only make up about 20 to 25% of advertised jobs. Actively engaging on LinkedIn and networking is really important. And Natalie made a good point that you're literally just starting a conversation. And from there, it's kind of up to you where it goes. If you want to ask them a question, but you kind of need to lead with purpose or more of an engaging point. Researching the company and role was really helpful so that you're not just sending out hundreds of applications, you're really making an effort to make sure that your application is nice and relevant to the company, and you understand what they care about as well. We didn't even go into interviewing, but using the STAR method is great for interview questions. And we can go through that if you book a session. Talking about, your communication skills and your soft skills with examples, and hopefully getting some great experience where you can outside of your studies. Employers really value those skills or that experience. And then we've got a few things that you might be able to do in the next few months, which is things like updating your LinkedIn. So if you're putting your LinkedIn on your resume, it's kind of saying that you want them to click on it. So make sure that your LinkedIn is up to date, like it has enough information for them to learn something else about you. Put everything on your resume onto your LinkedIn so that they see that plus more. And hopefully you can apply for some internships or grad roles, local experience, volunteer roles here in Victoria. And hopefully you can also attend one or more career events per month. In person would be great. Some of them are online. So hopefully you can get along to something and meet people in, I guess, the real world in real time. And we really hope that just taking a few of these small steps will help you get to those bigger results soon. So thank you so much, Natalie. Do you have any last questions or comments or anything that you'd like to share?
Hi. Yes, just one quick thing. I just popped in another free download link
Awesome.
about interviews, since we didn't get a chance. But I'm also going to share this article that I wrote for Insider Guides, where I interviewed Kimberly, who's about networking. So what she learned from 100 networking events, which is really helpful as well.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, no, the only extra thing I would say is keep going.
Yep.
I work with people now who have already been in Australia for a few years. They've graduated. Um, some of them have, had their survival job for many years because life just got hectic.
Yep.
And it's harder for them now to get the other job. So be proactive. Really, like Ellen said, start small, 3 connection requests a week, 1 event per month. Maybe in March you will commit to writing your LinkedIn profile. Maybe in April you will commit to finding a mentor in your industry. So start to get the experience and start to build your skills, and then it will be so much easier for you when you graduate. So yeah, don't leave things to the last minute. Be resilient. Find your community so that it's not hard and you are not alone as well.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much, Natalie. And thank you, Tran, as well, for joining from Study Melbourne. It's been a great session. We'll probably have to wrap up without any more questions, but here's just a short survey we would love for you to complete just to help us improve on these sessions, understand what you liked and what you would like to see next time. So we have a nice little monthly, not monthly draw, a draw for a $50 Visa card. So if you submit that survey in the next day or two, we will then draw that out. So it will just really help us understand what you thought of the webinar. and any other topics that you would like in the future. So thank you again, Natalie and Tran, for joining today's webinar. And thank you everyone for attending. We hope that you're able to learn something new or take something practical to actually start an action in the next hour or few weeks or months or whatever it is. And we hope that you stay connected to the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program. If anyone has any final questions, I'll keep this slide up for a minute or two. Feel free to pop them in the chat. If not, we hope to see you online or in person soon. So thank you again and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.